What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Game Time Discussions. I'm Emery Cuzzy. I'm here with Dustin Zimmerman, and we are going to be reviewing Week 2 of college football and looking forward and previewing Week 3 of college football. Week 2 was kind of quiet overall, just like when you're talking about big games and stuff,
Yep.
but there were a lot of things that happened that had a lot of implications. We'll get into all of that, of course, but it was a fun week of football, and I mean, every week of college season is going to be a good time.
Yeah, no crazy Cinderella upsets, but a lot of underperformances and overperformances from a few teams we didn't expect.
Yeah, so let's share this screen, get going. This is the AP poll last time around, talking about in week 2. And it's going to be changing. A lot of teams have been moving around. A lot of teams either overperformed or underperformed, like Dustin had said. So we're definitely going to see some differences going into this next grouping, but very fun week, like we said. Let's go over to their game recaps. Starting off with the only ranked versus ranked game, which is Michigan versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma was the favorite. We both picked them to win by their spread at home. John Mateer is him. That was not a question in our mind personally, but no. They did 24-13. Kind of handled themselves in this game, and I didn't expect Michigan to score a ton of points, but at the same time, 13 points is a pretty low score for a team that we think is a little bit better on offense this year.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of went how I expected it to go when we did our preseason projections and whatnot. I think they have a ton of talent. Bryce Underwood is obviously very good, and they're just not there yet. Right. I think they put it together throughout the year. But as of now, yeah, this is kind of the game script we both expected would be. Mateer would be an absolute baller, and Underwood would show some sparks, but not be able to put it all together. And there was that little shouting match they had on the sideline too. I think people are way overplaying the importance of that. I think that's just teammates trying to fire each other up. Correct me if I'm wrong in your opinion.
I mean, it is what it is. Like competition brings good and bad out of people,
right?
And of course, I didn't always agree with everything that was said on the sideline.
Sure.
Maybe you hold your composure a little bit better, but at the same time, like, you don't have to like it. You know what I mean? Like, we're trying to win a game. Like, you're trying to be, the fieriness is just competitiveness, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially a guy like Underwood who's not used to losing, so he has to learn the composure, obviously. But I'm not worried about like a team chemistry issue.
Yeah. The next game is the Illinois to Duke game, and man, this was not close at all. I thought that it would be. I thought Darian Mensah looked really good in the first game of the year, and I thought he was going to play better overall, which he actually had 334 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. It was just, I just think Illinois kind of was, the second half was really what was telltale. Like, they scored 31 points to 6 in the second half, and that was really where it came in. Luke Altmaier is actually really good at football. And he went for 296 and 3 touchdowns and kind of led this team. So I was actually really impressed with Illinois. We had been lower on them overall, but hey, like, this is a big win. Like, I know that Duke was, just a team out of the ACC, but they're one of the better teams in the ACC. Darian Mensah in week 1 looked really good. They have players. This is a really big win for them.
Yeah, this one, the game script was that Luke Altmaier would be really good, but I thought a Manny Diaz defense would be able to control him a little bit more. And through the first half, Illinois at halftime was only up 14-13, and then third quarter they outscored them 14-6, and then they go 17-0 in the fourth quarter. And the wheels fell off for Duke at that point. But I definitely expected a little bit more out of the Duke defense more than anything. I thought it'd be closer to the Duke score of 19 and Illinois being in the low to mid 20s with that not blowing up for 45 by the end of it.
Yeah, it was 13-14 at halftime, and then all of a sudden it was not close anymore.
Yeah, so, I was watching that on the score line on the bottom, and then all of a sudden I was like, okay, 30-19, they're still in it, and then it popped up again. It was like 45-19. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah, and it was bang, 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 one after another. It was pretty crazy. Next game is actually one that was for the record books. I mean, it was just a fun game to watch. Like, you talk about 48-45 football. If you're a fan, that's the type of football you want to see. It's not necessarily what coaches want. They want to hopefully play some defense, but no one was playing defense in this game, to say the least. If you look at how it all happened too, it was like really one of those things where I was kind of pissed off at how SMU finished the game. They were up 24-38, I believe.
Yeah, and 14 with 6 minutes left.
yeah, it was like, oh, okay, this team is gonna, put it away, and it's like
Yep.
we're at that point where the game should be over. After that touchdown that was, late in the game with 5 minutes left, I want to say on the clock,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and then Baylor comes down, scores a touchdown. Um, SMU goes 5 plays and has to punt basically immediately. Baylor scores their touchdown, and now we're into overtime and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, the Baylor had all the momentum, at that point.
Yeah, once that game went to overtime, it was pretty set in stone how that game was going to end as far
Hmm.
as who was going to win it, unfortunately. And I feel really bad for that SMU kicker, missing the one
Yeah,
at the end of regulation and then missing an easier one in overtime. But that being said, SMU has to play some defense. You can't be up 14 with the ball and lose with 6 minutes left. That just can't happen in a game this big. Baylor's now beat SMU 14 straight times, and SMU still has not beat Baylor since the death penalty.
yeah. And also, like, they have good players in the back end and stuff. I think that the leadership needed to kind of show up a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
So I was surprised that Ahmad Moses and like Isaiah Inwakobia didn't get that team going a little bit better, even knowing they played
Right.
well themselves. It
Yeah.
didn't show up as like a team aspect. So I mean, that second quarter was crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
35 total points in that second quarter. This game was
Yeah.
like highlight after highlight. Sawyer Robertson has to get a little bit of shout out. He went for 440 and four
Yeah.
touchdowns. Um, the receivers for Baylor were playing their butts off. Yeah, it was a really good game to watch. So,
Yeah. Super
definitely,
fun as a fan.
I definitely think the Baylor SMU felt more Big 12 than ACC. So,
Yeah, definitely. SMU showing they've got the high powered offense, but they have not caught up with the defense yet, which will ultimately be their downfall in the ACC.
right, right. Let's go over to the rivalry report, though. This is the recap of what happened last week. Me and Dustin, not only did we have a rivalry report, but we also bet on a rivalry report. Dustin owes me $5 because
Oh, yeah.
the line was 6.5 to Missouri, and
Yes.
Missouri goes out and wins by 11. I was actually really nervous because it was not like this. Right at the end of the game is when it became a 11 point win for Missouri. So I was a little
Yeah.
uncomfortable to going into the end of the fourth quarter there, but figured it out. Bo Prabula is really good. Ahmad Hardy
Mm-hmm.
might be like I've been vouching for Ahmad Hardy and I think he's the best player or running back in the SEC right now. But
Mm-hmm.
not only that, he then goes and does it 2 weeks in a row against a good Kansas team. This time, I think that this guy is legit, guys. He's scary legit. Like, he will probably be one of the guys we have to talk about a lot next year going into the draft.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to add to it. Jalen Daniels looked good. They had a big play when they were down 35-31, and then their running back converted to wide receiver, dropped it on a wide
Yeah,
open third down, and then they punted it, which was a shock given that they were down four and their defense hadn't had a stop all game. For a discussion on the coaching status there on Leipold, I don't
sure,
know what was going through his head there. I would have gone for it. And then I want to give, you brought up Ahmad Hardy. I want to bring up Jamal Roberts going
sure.
13 rushes for 143 yards. And he had the big kind of dagger there, 60, 70-yard run, however long it
Mm-hmm.
was, to really, A, give you the win on the bet, and
Yeah,
B, in the game for all intents and purposes.
right. Yeah, I think that Missouri's a very underrated team, and we'll talk about them again here in a little bit, but definitely an underrated team in my opinion. And then Iowa State versus Iowa. This is the type of football that people get mad about watching and stuff, but I love this type of football. Great defense, grinded out type of game. I thought this game was really good. I thought that both teams actually had chances in this game to like take the reins, but it's a
Yeah.
rivalry game and it goes back and forth, and Rocco Beck found a way, but the second half there was 6 total points scored, both scoring 3. I
Mm-hmm.
never Funny enough, I thought Iowa was going to win for a lot of the game watching it. I thought they look better. They're playing good defense. They're
Mm-hmm.
they're holding, and I thought they were going to win the game just by look on the field. Like, if you were to tell me, like, watch this game, you have no idea
Mm-hmm.
what the score is. They looked better in my personal opinion. So
Yeah, that's definitely how it felt. It felt like Iowa State got off to a better start, but then throughout the game, Iowa really held control both of the ball and just in between plays, like you were
Yeah,
saying, really felt like they had all the momentum and control the whole game. I was kind of surprised that they didn't take that step and take the lead at any point. But Gronowski just has to play better. His stat line was atrocious for a starting QB in a Power Five conference.
they need to finish drives a little bit better and stuff like that, which I thought
Mm-hmm.
was the biggest problem. Is just they could not put the ball in the end zone. But at the same time, actually, Gronowski started really tough. But at this, I mean, it's Iowa. They don't throw the ball.
Yeah,
Like they will
right.
not let him throw the ball. So I thought he looked okay. He's best. He's by far the best quarterback they've had, if that means anything. But
I mean,
like I
unfortunately,
know it's
that
not.
doesn't.
It's yeah, but like he is by far the best quarterback they've had in multiple years. So
I mean, he
um,
went 13 for 24 for 83 yards and a pick.
I
So,
know, I get it. But he actually had, weirdly enough, a better game than I expected
yeah, I mean,
in a
that was
weird way.
better
Like
than I
he was
expected.
running,
So,
moving, stuff like that.
yeah.
I thought he ran better than I was expecting him to. Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, absolutely.
it's a really bad stat line to back somebody up on. But I think by the standards that Iowa has set at their quarterback position, he was fine.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason they call this rivalry El Asico, and it lived up to the hype as usual,
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or
Okay.
down, however you want to look at that.
We have our first Superdog win. Dustin has done it. We got our first Superdog winner. Here it is. 18-16. What a big game for South Florida. Winning it at the end on the field goal. Um, Look, South Florida is legit. They have beaten Boise State. Now they have beaten Florida. They were probably the favorite to be the non-power 5 team to make the playoffs. I mean, this team is
Yeah.
doing big things, and this Florida team is legit. Their defensive line is good. Their offensive line is good. That's why I fought back last week. I didn't know about the 17.5 number, but I was like, I don't think that South Florida can win based on the fact that there's
Yeah.
just so much difference in SEC offense and defensive lines. Did not matter. Byron Brown said, "Put it on me,"
Yep.
and they're gonna go. We're gonna go win this game, and that's what they did. Byron Brown, 263 and a touchdown. I thought that this game was. I mean, what was it? They had what was it, like 6 field goals in this game or something like that? Something crazy like that.
Yeah.
It
It
was
was a lot of Florida moved the ball well, and then they got inside the 30, and Billy Napier happened. And
it's a problem.
to add on to that, real quick, Florida up with the ball 16 to 15, 2.5 minutes left, and they throw it twice, both being incompletions. And then when USF's driving down, they get inside the red zone, and you think, okay, they're obviously going to run this clock down as much as they can. Napier holds on to 2 timeouts until 20 seconds left when USF's scrambling to get to the line and goes, oh, we'll use our timeout now. And then USF gets to drop their play, make their game plan for the next 2 plays, and then he does it again with like 17 seconds left.
Yeah,
It
Napier's
was
terrible.
insane.
He's terrible, and
I could not believe the absolute coaching malpractice that was occurring. Actually, I could because I've said that about Billy Napier too many times now.
sure, yeah,
Unfortunately, though, I didn't think it would get to that level of bad. Just
right.
bad.
For sure. No, I get it. He's something else, man. I can't vouch for him or back him up. Like he just is
No.
going to make bad decisions, and
I mean, that's that their talent is keeping him afloat, but I have a strong feeling his seat got a lot hotter after this weekend.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, I also got my underdog, but I've done this 2 weeks in a row. We have
Yeah.
gotten to a point where I'm just beating that half point. Last week I had Marshall at 38.5. They ended up being 38-point loss. This week it was 14.5, 14-point loss. I'm getting very lucky to say the least, but James Madison saving me in this game, and
Yep.
it worked out great for me, obviously, making it, but it was 15.5 at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But 14.5, I didn't expect anybody to score that much, and James Madison couldn't get it going, only 14 points, but somehow they held and didn't allow Isaac Brown to beat them by more than that.
One thing I will add to this game is, in my opinion, watching it, James Madison should have won, but they're
Sure.
doing the whole 2 QB switch them out in the middle of the drive with
Yeah.
Bennett and Sluka, and it doesn't win. There's the phrase, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have 0 quarterbacks. And we saw it with Florida last year with Lagway and Mertz, in which case they improved once Lagway took over. And we saw it again. They were leading this game for the first half. They looked like, at one point, I didn't want to jinx it, so I didn't send it, but I truly thought James Madison was winning that game. They just had everything in their control. And then they did that, and all rhythm was gone in the second half when they kept doing it. And that's why they ended up with only 14.
Who do you think should start?
Well, the hard part is I haven't seen a ton of film on James Madison, just the 2 games this year. We saw Sluka last year more than Bennett. And the problem is I don't know who fits. Is it Barnett? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's Barnett. Yeah.
But the problem is I don't know who fits their scheme better because they keep switching it out. Because some plays Barnett looks better and he's been mostly the controller, but then Sluka goes in and they actually score the touchdown. Mm-hmm. So they need to just decide one. Let one start next game and play the whole game.
Well, I think that the fact that Matthew Sluka had 21 rushing attempts and their running backs had like 13 or 16 or something like that, it's got to be figured out. I think Sluka's probably the better option. It's to start, but at the same time, you win this game. If you can go win this game, like, because it was the fourth quarter that really got them. I mean, Louisville scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. That's what put them at 28. And James Madison was controlling the game, like you were saying early. So they needed to just, get in a rhythm, and they've never allowed themselves to.
And the other problem was every time, like you said, Sluka's rushing attempts, when I was watching the game, I was like, oh, Sluka's in. It's a run play. And then it was.
Yeah.
You're not Army running the triple option where you're able to make that work, even though if they know it's a run, you've got literally multiple options and they have to read that and figure it out. It's not hard when you do the same couple plays every time when one specific quarterback's in to figure out what's about to happen.
Right. Absolutely. But let's go over to some of the, stuff that we have to talk about this.
No, absolutely.
Clemson, man, down 16-0 and looking terrible in the first half. Like,
bad.
I mean, I don't even know what to say. Like, we're vouching as Clemson. We had Clemson winning the Natty.
I was about to say we picked them to win it all.
And they are just making us look like fools because they can't stop anybody. Cade Klubnik looks bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, their defense, I'm glad they figured it out, but like there is no confidence in this team. And
no,
they're kind of lucky to be playing in the ACC because they're going to figure it out and get rolling and stuff sooner or later. But man, they look awful right now. They look awful.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I mean, the second half they took over. That was expected. Figured they wouldn't keep this down 16-0 nonsense going on for too long. And you can't even use the whole Williams being out thing because you're playing Troy. It's okay to sit your stars if you need to, if they're hurt or for precautionary reasons. This is a game you shouldn't have to worry that one of your wide receivers is out. Whether it be your wide receiver 1 or 3, you should not go down 16-0 in this game.
It was crazy. Obviously, we'll continue talking about them, but when we get to the next section of stuff. But talking about Arizona State, they lose to Mississippi State, who Mississippi State looked really good in week 1 and had some of the highest rated PFF players. And then they go out and they find a way to beat Arizona State. Arizona State falls out of the top 25 with this and going from 12 to out. Yeah. This is a really interesting situation. They're actually 26th. They are receiving the most votes, but they did fall out. So, but I think, Arizona State's going to have to get it figured out because they're about to go play a hell of a game next week. And we'll have to talk about that here in a minute. And it's just, I'm not confident in this team. They don't have Cam Scatterboot and they don't look like they can do it without him.
Yeah, I was really disappointed in a few things with them. One being their offense just did not look good. Sam Levitt was making magic essentially with all his scrambles and just figuring out things. And then the defense, this is the 3rd year in a row that they have a blown coverage running their man defense. Happened against Texas last year where they just completely blow up the man coverage. And they got to figure that out. Otherwise, teams are going to keep abusing it.
Yep. I don't know, man. They're gonna have to figure something out. And I like Kenny Dillingham, so we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see. I think he's a good coach. But going on, Ole Miss, they finally beat Kentucky. Of course, last year they were the better team. They found a way to lose to Kentucky.
Yep.
and they do it this year. Austin Simmons is good at football, guys.
Yep.
And Lane Kiffin gets over the hump. He's the biggest question mark most of the time when we talk about this team.
Yeah, I want to say Lane Kiffin gets over the hump, but if the hump is just beating Kentucky, who, as we stated, is the worst team in the conference,
there's more. Obviously, he's got to get over.
Yeah. So, and I need him to win by more than 7. So we need to see some growth out of him. And obviously, they're in a somewhat rebuild year with Austin Simmons being the new QB. They don't have the guy who was there for 4 years learning the system and a great core of wide receivers because they went to the NFL. But either way, they got to get that figured out more.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's go over to this week's AP Top 25. If y'all remember from last year how we do this, the green means they moved up. The red outline will mean they moved down. And if you're looking through there, there's a lot of green. It has to do with a lot of losses that came from the top 25 that we had just talked about. Arizona State, SMU both fall out of this group. Auburn, USF, they jump in, and Florida, and Florida fall out. Those two teams jump in. But let's get after this rapid fire. It's pretty easy at the top. I'll go through the top 3. They win, or top 2, both of them, Ohio State. They beat Grambling 70-0, and Penn State won 34-0. Those are easy games. LSU.
Only up 10-0 at half, though, which we were talking about
very weird.
Off screen was just surprising. And then they were like, oh, yeah, we're Penn State. We should probably go ahead and win by a lot.
Sure. Right. LSU, I don't know why they didn't win by more. They played La Tech 23-7 against them. Yeah. So I thought that was an interesting game. I thought they should have won by more, but I don't know how good this LSU offense is right now because they couldn't score more than 17 points on Clemson, who looks bad. And then they can't score more than 23 on Louisiana Tech. So maybe Clemson's not very good, and LSU got lucky to play them week 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Clemson game almost hurts LSU as far as their predictions than it hurts Clemson.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Oregon absolutely smacks Oklahoma State, which the fall off of Oklahoma State, who was playing in a conference championship game, 2 years ago, is just abysmal. Very sad to see. Mike Gundy probably at the end of his time as the head coach at Oklahoma State. They need to tear it down and rebuild it at this point. But Oregon looked amazing. Dante Moore, as we expected, absolute baller. DeCorian Moore had a great play. So with a battered and beaten wide receiver room, they look plenty fine passing it.
Right, absolutely. And then you go over to Miami. Miami, they win 45-3. They do have to play South Florida next week. Very interesting game, of course, that we will talk about here in a minute, but they get to play South Florida, and South Florida looks like the hottest team in football. Miami should be worried.
Absolutely.
That's crazy how they've been going. So.
And then Georgia drops. They only beat Austin Peay by 28-6. They did not look great. Game was kind of weird because it got moved up a couple hours because of impending weather. So just a weird game overall, but the reason for them dropping. And then their next game is also a big one because they're going to be playing at Tennessee this upcoming week.
Yep. And then Texas starts out slow versus San Jose State, but then they find a way to, start going. They created a lot of turnovers in that game, which I think is very important. And then they made it look easy as it went on.
Right. Yeah. We talked about Quinn Ewers and his abdominal injury last year and kind of noticing it throughout the year. I'm a little concerned for Arch's shoulder. I don't know if there's a real injury there or that's just his motion or mechanics now. But there's a couple clips of him wincing with that weird sidearm angle he was doing, which he did not have last year. Yeah. So just something to keep an eye on in the next coming weeks, especially because they still have their easy, warm-up games, essentially.
Right, for sure. And then Notre Dame is coming off of the bye, going into one of our games of the week with Texas A&M that we'll talk about here in a little while. And then Illinois, we said they moved up. They looked good. They're going to get they're part of the recap that we already talked about. So really good game for them. Let's see. Florida State is golden. Yeah, we're going to win the Natty, boys and girls. We're on bye this week. Going to get it all right. We gave up too many points this week against East Texas A&M. Our 3-point.
The 3.
3 points. We gave up too many. We didn't score 100 like we were supposed to.
Nope.
it was a little disappointing at Florida State, okay, but it's okay. It's okay. It's early in the year. It's
Yeah,
a
gotta.
it's just East Texas A&M, but we gotta get it going so we make sure we cover every spread by 50.
Yeah, you gotta get the wrinkles out early. But
Yeah,
speaking of one of the hottest teams in the country, you can't look away from Florida State smacking Alabama, and then obviously this one was expected, maybe not by 74, but
yeah,
and
77 to
then
3, boys and girls.
next we got Lenora Sellers in South Carolina. They were playing South Carolina State, struggled a little bit too, only won 38-10. We're seeing so we talked about some implications and stuff. We saw a lot of these SEC schools not necessarily handle their opponents like you
Hmm.
would expect them to. We talked about Texas struggling, Georgia struggling, South Carolina, A&M struggled.
LSU,
We'll get to them in a little bit. LSU,
LSU, Ole
so just
Miss.
kind of surprising there.
Yeah, I agree. Going on to the next week though, they're playing Vanderbilt
Yeah,
at home, and watch out, Diego Pavia's no pushover, so this could be a good game.
yeah,
Um, and then the next one is Clemson. Clemson, you know, the whole Troy thing is a big thing, but even
yep.
more so, they're playing Georgia Tech this week at Georgia Tech, and you should be a little nervous. We're going to talk about them here in a minute, but you should be nervous because this is a
Yep,
big deal right here. Then Georgia Tech's a good
absolutely.
football team. If they don't have 3 turnovers in the first quarter against Colorado, they probably beat them by 4 touchdowns.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's a good football team coming up. So, and then next up is OU. We just talked about them beating Michigan. They're going to get Temple at Temple. They're going
Yep.
to cruise most likely.
Yeah, shouldn't be an issue. Iowa State, we talked about them too. Handled the
Hmm.
business against Iowa, not by much, but the spread was only at 2.5, so they essentially won by how much we expected them to.
Right.
We'll see if they can get the offense going a little bit more.
Yes. And then Tennessee going to Georgia. Sorry, at home versus Georgia. Rocky Top.
Mhm.
That's going to be a big game. We're not as high on Tennessee. We think that they have an easy schedule. As you can tell, they've played an easy schedule so far, playing East Tennessee State, but they did beat them 72-17. Joey
Yep.
Aguilar has looked a lot better than I expected, but
Yep.
let's see what happens when he plays a top defense, not Syracuse and East Tennessee State.
Absolutely. A&M struggled a little bit against Utah State, then they blew it up to 44-14. Utah State scores another in garbage time, so they win by 22. Cam called it out in the Discord, but as I said, A&M never covers the spread, so I was not surprised at that.
Sure.
However, they have to get a rushing defense because they're about to play Notre Dame, who has one of the top running back cores in the country, and if they play like they have been, Notre Dame will run for 300 yards this week.
Right, absolutely. One person, Ole Miss. Ole Miss. We talked about a little bit with their game against Kentucky. That was good for them. Now they have to go play Arkansas, and Arkansas is no pushovers either. They have Taylor
No.
Green. They have a good. SEC ball is a gauntlet every week.
Yep.
So just know that that's possibly coming. And yeah, I think that Arkansas could serve some issues if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. USF, like I said, one of the hottest teams in the country, coming off a big win on the road in the swamp against
Hmm.
Florida. And then we'll talk about a little bit more, but they're going to be playing Miami again on the road this upcoming week.
Yep. And then Alabama. Alabama gets back on track after getting beat by Florida State. They win by a lot, 73-0
against the Warhawks.
by a lot.
Yeah.
But they play Wisconsin next week. I'm not really worried about the Wisconsin team. We were low on them originally, and so I expect a win by Alabama again.
Utah looked good. They were playing the Nerds in Cal Poly, though. They did win 63-9.
Yep.
Emory is much higher on Utah than I am, but I am starting to grow on them with how well they have looked so far.
Yeah, they're really solid. I wouldn't count them out by any means in any facet of the Big 12, to say the least.
I agree.
And then you have Texas Tech, who is also in the Big 12. Look, these two teams are insane what they've been doing to, Utah actually played UCLA. Yeah, Texas Tech has played nobody, but they're beating them by like 60 points in both games. So,
Right.
we'll see when they actually play a real team. They're going to be playing Oregon State this week, and Oregon State, I wouldn't be surprised if they beat them by 40. So
We'll continue to wait for them to play a real team.
exactly, it might take a while.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's going to be a minute. Indiana handles business against the worst team in the country, Kennesaw State, 56-9. There's not a whole lot to be said about that game. Obviously, this week they're going to be hosting Indiana State on Friday evening at 5:30.
Yep. I'm sorry. Michigan loses to Oklahoma, where we talked about earlier a little bit, but they get to play Central Michigan next week. I don't expect any issues coming into at home against Central Michigan.
Yeah. Auburn looks fine. They played Ball State. So they're coming off the big win against Baylor, who obviously is no pushover after their win against SMU. This week they will be hosting South Alabama. South Alabama is known for putting up a lot of points, so could be interesting just making sure that their defense is put together for that one.
Sure. And then Missouri, as we've talked about already, they played against Kansas and won. They're going to be playing the Raging Cajuns, one of the best teams out of the Sun Belt this week. I expect them to still win, but it's not necessarily as easy as most people will tell you.
Yeah, no, that one could be a little bit fun, but end of the day, I think we see a second half takeover, and Missouri wins by a lot.
Right, exactly. Okay, let's go over to.
While you're pulling that
Games
up,
of the
I will
week.
give a quick shout out for you for Texas State for going on the road. We left them out of the rivalry report, but go on the road and beat UTSA
Yeah, Battle of
43 to
I-35.
36.
Yeah, we won the
So
Battle of I-35 for the second time we've ever beaten UTSA.
pretty awesome game.
First time we've beaten UTSA. Yeah.
So
very
huge
happy with
win
that.
for the program. Go GJ Kinney. We're both high on him. Hopefully he stays at Texas State, but he's clearly earning himself some points there.
I think he's inconsistent, but I love him, if that makes sense. It's a love-hate thing for sure, but he's a guy that he's so interesting and so much fun to like listen to and talk about, but there's sometimes I'm like that was not a good decision, but I digress. Clemson and Georgia Tech, we kind of alluded to it. First game on this game of the week situation, and this is, Georgia Tech is going to get Clemson vulnerable. Clemson, right?
Yep.
And I want to see what happens because we are both extremely high on Georgia Tech. Think that they could win the ACC if the right things fall into place. Well, here it is. This is the right thing falling into place at the right time. So we will see if they can, find a way to win.
Yeah, I expect Antonio Williams to be back for that one. Clemson at full strength on offense. We'll just have to see what the injury reports show throughout the week. I expect he was only out for precautionary to prepare for the bigger games. That being said, the Haynes backfield and just everything Georgia Tech brings to the table, I'm going to call the upset now. Georgia Tech wins outright.
I wish it wasn't 9.5 because I wanted it to be a super dog. Like, I wanted it to be a super dog so bad,
If it was a super dog, I would have absolutely thrown money at it.
Well, I mean, we're literally at 9.5. Like we were a whole 1 point off of it being super dog allowed, and that was kind of sad because I was like, oh man, like I really wanted it to be able to be bet on.
I was thinking about that too, but the line will probably change. That being said, if I had to guess, the line's going to move in Georgia Tech's favor with everything we've seen from Clemson. So
yeah, I agree. But let's go ahead and talk about the next big game in Rocky Top. Georgia versus Tennessee. Tennessee at home is a tough team to beat, but I think that Georgia... Oh, well, let me actually give my prediction. I think that Clemson wins by 3.
Sure.
I think it's close. I apologize. I forgot to do that. Clemson wins by 3 against Georgia Tech. Let's say it's 20-17 because they can't score, but their defense is really good, and hopefully they start off early, not late. But now back to Georgia versus Tennessee. I think Gunnar Stockton and Georgia are just too talented, in my opinion. I don't think that Tennessee is as good as people think they are. They moved to 15, but I think they lose this game. I think they move back. Then they get into that SEC schedule, and it's a little bit, more like where you have games you lose that you shouldn't lose and stuff like that. And Tennessee will probably end up 8-4 no matter what, in my opinion. So Georgia will start it.
Yeah, this is one where, people get concerned. Oh, they only beat Austin Peay by 22. Kirby Smart has been in the game too long to care about winning by 50 versus 20 as long as his guys developed that game. They got whatever schemes they needed to learn. They got whatever game plan they wanted implemented. That's what he cares about. And I just see them only winning by 22 is a non-issue to me. I think Georgia wins, and I think they cover the spread in Tennessee.
There's very few teams that I feel that way about, but Georgia's definitely one of them for sure.
Yeah.
This next game is going to be awesome. And I think that line is crazy. I think that -6.5 line is just nuts.
I was shocked by it, truthfully.
Texas A&M, I know that they don't cover the spread. They don't. It's okay. We get it. But this is going to be a Texas A&M game where Marcel Reed and company are going to put it together. They're going to go ahead and beat Notre Dame. Is it at Notre Dame? No, it's at home,
It's
right?
in South
It's
Bend.
at Notre Dame. Okay.
Yeah.
I think they beat them by 3. I think Texas A&M wins this game. And maybe I'm biased, but and I'm not, but I mean, truly, I'm not biased. I mean, I'm not an A&M fan necessarily, but
Right.
I'm more of an A&M fan than a Texas fan, if that helps anybody out there. But
Good decision.
it's just A&M. I really love how they're put together. I love how their offensive line is set up. I like Le'Veon Moss and Reuben Owens and the whole backfield and Marcel Reed and what they can do, the receiving core that's set up. Look, I really think that this Texas A&M team has not shown up the way we expected them to, but 2 games against teams that they were supposed to beat that they beat. Now they get a chance to play a team after getting set up. I think A&M wins this.
I mean, I am biased, obviously. Everyone who watches knows that by now. But
Just
I
wait.
also agree with that. I think the A&M offense is not what we saw last year in this game when it was a close game. I think that CJ Carr is not as good as Riley Leonard was. And I
Sure.
think that the defense has stepped up as a whole, and the wide receivers have been completely overhauled. That being with Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion coming in, and both have been absolutely electric. I think they've combined for 7 touchdowns in the first 2 games.
Couple studs, for sure.
Which is awesome. And then one defensive spotlight I meant to put when we talked about the AP poll, but Cassius Howell against Utah State, this most recent game, went first, second, and third down, all sacks. And from what I could find and what they found on like with AI and stuff, is that's the first time it's ever happened in a college football game where one player gets 3 consecutive sacks.
Yeah, he's on our player spotlight on the next slide. As you can see, 3 back-to-back sacks. I think these were the only sacks he had in the game.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play, it got to the point where we started pulling guys because injury or, risk of injury, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But that one drive was absolutely electric.
Yep.
I was shocked.
He is the prospect of the week. We have talked about him before. To do this, no matter who you're playing, to have 3 sacks on 3 plays in a row is just amazing. And like you said, it's never been done before. And this guy is really special as a pass rusher.
Yeah.
He has to work on stopping the run, just like the rest of the A&M team. But this guy is very special as a pass rusher. And he is our player spotlight because of this 3 back-to-back sacks. He is going to be pushed up as a edge defender if you wait and see, because I know that there's a lot of good edges in this class. And there's some edges that are just really good pass rushers. Well, Cassius Howell has a little bit more juice, in my opinion, than those guys. And he can play the run a tad bit better. So he's going to be a guy that we talk about a lot when February comes around.
Fun fact, on that drive, he tied Shamar Stewart's last 2 seasons of sack production at A&M.
He did. This is correct. We'll never stop on that, I promise, guys. Next up, though, is going to be our super dogs. I'm going to let Dustin go first. Crazy number here.
I deserve it. So after our last one.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here we go. Sorry.
Yep.
Clicked it in the wrong spot.
No one should be surprised whatsoever. I just got an outright dog winner. There's no way I wasn't going to absolutely continue with Byron Brown and the USF Bulls. They went on the road in Florida, won the game, and they're going on the road to Miami, who is actually filling the stadium now. And especially with this now being a ranked on ranked game, I actually expect an incredible crowd and atmosphere at it.
Both sides.
That being said, I'm on the same page of I don't think they'll win this game, but I think 16.5 is too much to give them with what they've shown so far against Boise State and Florida.
Well, hold on. Let me see where South Florida University is, because I bet it's close enough where this game is a 50-50.
Yeah, we had talked about that at the beginning of the year. These Florida teams all playing each other. It's not.
So they're in Tampa. I wonder how far that is.
Well, and also with USF, how poor they've been over the last several years, them bouncing back like this, they're going to travel. Floridians do not care. They will go. They will show up.
Also, just so everybody knows, we're picking USF outright on this side of the podcast. I don't think Miami beats them. Yeah, no. come on, man. They showed that their O-line and D-line could play with an SEC team. I I know that Miami's good. Ruben Bain had one of the best couple games to start the year against Notre Dame, for sure. He is really rising up boards, but I think USF, with the momentum and the juice,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and take them
I like it.
because
I
look,
like it.
they beat Boise State by 27,
Yep,
and then they go and they beat Florida, who we really were high on. You weren't even high on Miami, so I don't want to hear it out of you.
I
I was the
agree.
one that was high on Miami, and I had 10-2 for Miami. Dustin goes 7-5 or something like that.
Yep.
I think USF is the team that can knock them off. I think USF is a little bit scarier than we're giving them credit for after beating two giant teams.
Hey, I'm not. Last week I was more like, yeah, they're not going to win this game, but they'll cover. This time I'm more like, I think Miami wins, but if USF wins, I'm not going to be shocked. They've now proven to
Yeah,
me that I can put my mouth behind that.
definitely closer than 16.5. I get that part.
Yeah,
I
I
definitely
am
get that.
shocked. I assume this line's gonna get closer, but I got it early, just like you got the James Madison one last week early, so I grabbed
Yeah,
it.
and it worked out perfectly.
Exactly.
um, yeah, no, this is a great game, and definitely a game that we weren't expecting to have to watch. You know,
Yeah.
we didn't put it on the games of the week because we knew it was going to be a super dog,
Right.
but didn't expect this game to be a game we needed to watch. This is definitely a game of the week for sure.
And potentially
Another,
playoff implications here, both for
yeah,
both teams really. If
yep,
Miami loses, it hurts them quite a bit. If USF wins, their non-power 5 status obviously, well, it's already skyrocketed, but just continues
right,
to moon.
sure, yeah. Okay, now the team that's going to win the Natty is on the left here. Now we're going to run it back, Dustin.
Go for it.
Texas State to the playoffs. You know, if y'all don't know, and if you haven't watched this podcast very long, last year I put out a TikTok that said if Texas State beats Arizona State this week, they're going to make the playoffs. And everybody gave me hell after it didn't work out. And then, of course, Arizona State ended up being that team that made the playoffs, and no one expected that, of course.
Right.
So, I'm not going to make that crazy accusation, but I do believe that Texas State is good enough to win this game. It is going to be in Arizona, but Arizona State just lost to a team that they should not have lost
No.
to. And I think Mississippi State's good. I think that they're on the come up. But Texas State at 13.5 after last year losing by 3 with Cam Scatterbu. This Arizona State team does not have their offense figured out. Well, guess what we have figured out? Our offense is definitely there.
Yeah.
We can put points up with anybody. And so Texas State is going to be able to just keep up in this game more so than maybe outscore Arizona State, but they're going to keep up. Our defense has not been very good, but I believe that we can score a lot of points, and we know that we can play with this Arizona State team because we did it last year.
Yep.
So I don't think that 31, like a 45 to 42 point game is out of the realm of possibilities in this type of game.
Well, what was it last year? Like 30, 41, 38, 31, 28. Yeah. So
31-28.
no, absolutely.
And we almost won. We almost won that bad boy.
We were watching that very closely. No, I love this pick. When I was going through the schedule and I picked USF, I was like, oh, well, I know where Emery's going. I know exactly which game he's going to pick. We just got to wait for the line to come out.
Yeah, I was like, I texted you because the line wasn't out on ESPN. I was like, what line do you have for Texas State, Arizona State? Because I was hoping it was 14.5. That would have made me feel really, really good.
Of course.
I'm still fine with 13.5, of course, but I think that it's a little scarier. I want Texas State to win outright. I want to win under super dog, but I also want my team to win. So the bias pick of me, of course, is just like Texas State to the moon.
Absolutely.
Cats by 90.
Absolutely.
Cats by 90, baby. But let's go over to the last thing we're going to do. It's going to be our Heisman hopefuls for week 3. It's an adjusted, updated version of our original. John Mateer really moving up boards all the way up to plus 1,000. Love to see that.
Deservingly so.
Yeah, absolutely. No one really knew on this group. I think that if Byron Brown can beat Miami this week, we have a new person that enters the chat that's not even in the Power 4, though, which will be crazy.
And
so
one person I want to mention that did jump in is Dante Moore with his electric showing against Oklahoma State. That said, it's Oklahoma State. I do need to see him do it in the Big Ten.
Yes, he's good at football though.
I am shocked Arch is still plus 1,300 given what he's shown so far. I still think he's a good quarterback and is going to get better. I'm just shocked he's above Gunnar Stockton and Lenore Sellers by now.
Yeah, I agree. I think Arch is the one that really sticks out. I also think Drew Aller sticks out a little bit.
Yeah,
Just in general, I thought Garrett Nussmeier might lose some like of his betting
he did. It was plus
upside.
800 last week, so
Was it okay?
yeah, I
Yeah,
expected it to
which
drop
makes
more,
sense.
honestly, with the
Yeah, that's what I was
23-7
thinking.
win. But
Yeah, there's some guys on here that are a little bit questionable, but at the same time, you actually have to have guys to replace them
yeah,
that are playing better. You could make some cases for some guys, Bo Perbula, but no one actually believes in Missouri's that good.
correct.
Like you, I don't even know. Let me see. Let me go through these.
I
Clemson,
do think
Tennessee, Joey Aguilar.
I don't think anyone's
Too early.
bought the
It's just too
stock on
early.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too early
Um,
for most of the guys on here.
I think John Material will be number one on this list next week, though. When we do this, I think he'll
That's
elevate
fair.
enough.
I also think Jackson Arnold's an interesting name that isn't being talked about because people don't like Jackson Arnold, but
Yeah,
at the same time, he's led 2-0, beating a Baylor team and then beating Ball State 42-3.
yeah.
If he can keep going,
I mean,
I don't know. There's a lot of ups and downs though.
the other problem with this isn't analytical based. This is based off some analytics, but mostly what people are betting on too. And so that's why
Right.
you've got some lag in it, especially it being so early in the year. People are still putting their bets out on, guys like
An
Arch
Arch Manning.
Manning and Dante Moore,
Yeah.
who just had one really good game so far.
Sure.
So it's going to come down, 5, 6 weeks from now, it'll be like, oh, we've got our top 3 to 4 and we're watching them. But for now, that's why I'm not surprised like Jackson Arnold and stuff isn't in, because he just hasn't proven it long enough yet for people to buy that stock.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, let me stop sharing. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We're going to be doing these every week. This is between week 2 and week 3. We're going to keep going. Me and Cam are going to keep doing stuff for fantasy. I mean, for DraftKings and DFS stuff. Basically 3 days a week, and we're gonna keep making videos and chugging along. Sooner or later, Dustin's going to have to be doing this by himself. Lucky him, because I will be having my wife is gonna have a baby pretty soon, so it'll be all Dustin pretty soon.
And that being said, please like, comment, subscribe, leave more comments. Let me know what y'all want to hear me just talk to a screen about, because obviously I will not have Emery to have the discourse with. So I'll be trying to put more conversational pieces where I don't get a reply back put together. So the more prompts
What do
I
you
have,
think?
the easier it is for me to do that. As much as my dogs like to bark and talk to me, they both sleep next to me. And they don't reply during this. So
Yeah. You don't get to say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you
yeah,
think about that? What is well, with me and you, it's a little different because like our discourse is, I'm more analytical and you more fan and enjoy like that type of side of it. So
yeah,
when we have a conversation, we both do one or the other.
yeah.
It's not going to be like that. You're going to have to be both.
Yeah, you get the
That'll be
play-by-play. I
fun.
get the color commentary. I don't know how I'm going to mix the two together, but we'll see how it
Going
goes.
to be very interesting. But we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Please help Dustin along his path, obviously. And we'll see y'all on the next one.
Thank y'all very much.
Later, guys.